when you recognize that there was a gift in any challenge you've ever had. Now the challenge that is in front of you today, because challenges will keep coming. Maybe they won't be as big as they were, but they will keep coming. Think of how you could look at them differently and say, awesome, there's a challenge in front of me, fantastic. I'm about to level up in life. I'm about to grow. I'm about to get to the next grade. I am stepping up. It not only helps you get through it more smoothly, but you embrace it more and you will find more of the gift in it because you're open to the gift in it.
What if there was a way to create positive momentum and meaningful habits in your life on autopilot? Well, now there is. YourPositiveMoment.com is a powerful morning tool that comes directly to your phone as a text message to get you moving forward with happiness, fulfillment, and connection from the get-go every day. So many of us instinctively reach for our phones first thing in the morning, and we get tangled up immediately, exposed to negative news, emails from people who need something from us, and things that make us go, here we go again. And this is a bad practice. This is not serving you. The things that you expose yourself to, the things that you feed your mind first thing each day have a massive impact on the quality of your day, the quality of your life, because it's all based on your mindset. Why not set yourself up for success? Why wouldn't you want to begin your precious day with positivity and meaning and stack up day after day of the best mindset habits available? This is your one life. This is your chance to be intentional about who you are and how you present to yourself, your loved ones, and the world. Get started with a free trial of daily morning text messages at yourpositivemoment.com. Do it today, and you'll see after 2 weeks of consistency, a change in your mind, your mood, and in your life. And you can keep it going for the whole month for less than 1 cup of coffee. And trust me, a daily morning motivational message makes much more of an impact on your life than that coffee. It's a no-brainer. Sign up right now at yourpositivemoment.com.
All right. Markus Kaulius is a high-energy motivator, support buddy, and champion of those wishing to get real, make positive changes, engage in life, find fulfillment, pull themselves up, and be the best that they can be. He's also a fitness fanatic, a girl dad, and a devoted husband with a heart for Jesus. His best-selling book, Play a Bigger Game, chronicles the stories of his personal motivation, including his experiences with bullying and a harrowing rescue on a hotel balcony. The book provides actionable tools for how to become the highest, most successful version of yourself. He's also the founder of Magnum Nutraceuticals, which he started out of his bedroom as a young man, and now it's a multi-million-dollar company. He's a major player in the supplement industry. So welcome, Markus, to the show. Can't wait to get into this conversation.
Bitsy, what a beautiful intro. Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. I'm psyched to be here. And ultimately, I'm excited to give people actionable tips so that they can walk away from today's episode going, I am capable of change.
Yes, that's right. And it's interesting because you say something, and I have this to ask you later, but since it's come up, I want to ask you about it now. You said that no one is now where they are capable of being or where they're meant to be in your book. What did you mean by that?
I'm such a believer that everybody is here to grow, and we're capable of so much. And no matter where you are, you're capable of so much more. And before I try and shove that principle down anybody's throat, I like to just offer it as an invitation. Do you believe life has more to offer you? Do you believe you could be doing more and experiencing more in your life? More fulfillment, more joy, more success? And if your answer is yes, I've got great news for you. You're right. But if your answer is no, my life is perfect, then I've also got great news for you. You're also right. And there's nothing for me to offer you if you don't believe that there's something for me to offer you. But if you're in that first category where you're like, you know what? I know there's more. I just suspect there's more. I should be doing more in my life. We've got a great episode for you here today.
Yes. And how many people do you think out there genuinely feel like their life is just exactly perfect the way it is, that there's nothing that could ever be improved, that they're just totally content the way it is now?
I've only met a few in my travels, and I'm not trying to sound too judgmental, but they are the kind of people that it takes you 5 seconds to go, I don't know who you're trying to fool. But
Yeah.
when you find the people who are most put together or seem like their life is just going perfectly, they are the ones who go, oh no, I'm just getting started. I truly believe you speak to guys like Elon Musk. He's not going, oh yeah, everything's perfect. He's going, what? I have such a short time on this planet to change this planet. I have to work my butt off every day until I die to change and to give more. And that's how my life is going as well. Like, I have so much to be grateful for. I love the blessings in my life. But man, am I just getting started?
Exactly. I feel the same way. I think that is a sign of a growth mindset as opposed to a fixed mindset.
I agree.
Yeah,
I,
it's so interesting. All right. So I want to start out by going all the way back in your life. And I'm really curious about your answer to this question. What is the earliest memory that you can actually remember happening in your life?
ooh, this is actually, I have little glimpses of what I think was happening, but the real memory, like the one that was seared into me, is when I was 7 and my parents were getting divorced. It got really ugly. And man, we're jumping right into this, Mitzi, by the way. My dad would come every, I don't know, once a month and pick me up for a weekend. And there was a specific time he came to pick me up, and there was a woman in the car, and my mom was not okay with it. And she was like, no, not this time. You're not taking my son. I don't want my son around this stuff. And they had a tug of war with me. I was in the middle of a literal tug of war. Now, I want to mention anybody who's listening and is, oh my goodness, like this is what a crazy thing to happen to a 7-year-old. That's all true. I see these things as blessings. I really do. Because that's the kind of stuff that made me into the man I am today. That gave me thick, tough skin. That made me the man who can now help others who maybe didn't get through that stuff as easily, or I shouldn't say as easily, who haven't gotten through it yet, who haven't gotten over it yet, who haven't used the crap that happened in their past for their good, for their benefit, and for the benefit of the people around them. So that is one of my seared in memories. Yeah.
That's a good one. And I think that when we contemplate those things, like what is the earliest thing you can remember? If anybody thinks about that. And a lot of times people will come up with something that's negative or impacted them in a way that might in the moment have felt like a negative experience. But as you said, turns out to be something that they're able to pull something good out of. So what did you pull out of that experience that was good?
Oof, there's a lot. Number one, how I want to show up as a father and as a husband. That's big. And I think those are massive in my life. They are. Like, those are two of the top, I don't know, 4 things in my whole life that I want to be known for, if not the top. Other than loving Jesus, of course, should be my number one there. It's really important to me to show up for my girls every single day and to be the father that they will always look back on as, oof, we felt loved when he was around. And for my wife to feel the same. And those things are so intertwined, and people don't talk enough about that, in my opinion. The way I love my wife helps me love my kids, helps my kids see how much I love them. So I think it's so important to make sure those relationships, especially your relationship with your wife, so spot on. And it doesn't have to be perfect. I want to be clear on that. There is no such thing as perfect, but it is a growth mindset of, hey, it can always be better. And I want to keep showing up better every day. And so it's also, I don't want to leave those kinds of scars on my kids. Now, I'm not so foolish to go, I'm not leaving any scars on my kids. Man, you could be the most perfect human being and you are going to leave scars one way or another. But I don't want to leave those obvious ones.
Our role as parents, and especially I think men and fathers, and I know you talk a little bit in your book about fathers and the father wound. is so important, and it does come up, but there's a lot of pushback against it too. It's very interesting because the father role in a person's life is significant. And you talk about how your father being absent a lot of the time was a significant role for you. And that actually, you were able to turn that into a strength. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Absolutely. And by the way, Mitzi, after this, I want to get into something that you are dancing around right now that I just love. And I know you and I feel the same way about this, to look for the gift in any challenge. And so we'll get into that one in a second, but I want to answer your question first. For decades, I really struggled with my daddy issues. And in my book, I talk about the fact that I believe everybody has daddy issues. Whether you had a phenomenal dad or whether you didn't have a dad, you've got daddy issues. So my daddy issues for decades, it screwed me up. And I used it as an excuse on how I treated others. If I failed at anything, it was like, if I had a dad, he would have taught me this or that. I would have been better at sports. I would have been better to women, all those things. But what it ultimately boiled down to for me, the gift that I ended up learning from this was, if I had a dad who was there, I would have turned out to be a totally different human being. I would have treated my wife different when I met her. I would have treated her father different when I met him. And my father-in-law and my mother-in-law adopted me in as a son. Like, they treated me like a son from day one. Like, even to the tune of me calling them mom and dad from the first time I ever met them. And they saw the brokenness in me. They truly did. They saw the brokenness. I could even see it in my young man eyes, how much they were just like, oh my goodness, this guy is so broken. Come here, son. Come on in. And there was so much love there. And that's one of the key reasons why my wife fell in love with me, and why I'm so devoted to being the father that I am today and the husband that I am today. And I'm so sensitive to these things because I know what it looks like the other way. So what a gift for me. So I don't have to continue on the curse of divorce in my family. That's a massive gift. Are you kidding me? I know how bad divorce is. I got to experience it firsthand. Plus, I see it all around me every single day. I see it in every one of my brothers and sisters and cousins and all of these people, where it's an absolute curse. But I didn't have to let it impact me. And by the way, I don't want to sound like I'm taking all the credit for it. God is the one who healed me from this. God is the one who unveiled the fact that it was a gift. And that in itself is such a gift.
Yes. There is a gift in every experience. Some of the people that I've spoken to have been through some of the worst things, like a stage 4 cancer diagnosis, extreme trauma in their childhoods, abuse, and things like that. They tend to see blessings much more prominently. They are able to see the light because of the darkness.
I love it. I love it. So let's jump into this, because this is one of my favorite topics, is to help people see, if you look at any challenges you've ever had in your past. Now, my suspicion, and I am making a bit of an assumption here, that if you're listening to this podcast, you have already at least a little bit of a growth mindset, but the chances are you have a big growth mindset. So you're nodding your head going, yeah, actually, if I think of any challenge I had in my past, there was a lot of gift. There was so much growth that came from it. I became the person I am today because of it. Now, if you are somebody who's listening to this and you're like, hold on, Markus, here's a couple of challenges I had. I don't think there was any gift. I can help you by just asking this simple question. Are you telling me there's nothing in it of that challenge that made you a better person today? Because 100% of the time, the answer is, yeah, I am more caring. I'm more sensitive. I'm more compassionate. I have more mercy. Like, I like to think about when I was bullied, and I got bullied hard, and it messed me up really good for a lot of years. And it was maybe in my 20s, somebody pulled me aside one time and said, hey, I noticed you standing up for that guy who was getting bullied. And I just thought that was so cool. And I was like, oh, and I didn't think anything of it. Like, I'm going to stand up for this guy. It came natural to me. And it was when that guy made that comment that I was like, oh my goodness, it's because I got bullied so hard. I recognize when bullying is happening in front of me, and I put a stop to him. Oh, I love that. I love that about myself. Thank you, bullies. And then it just so happened at that same time, I got this message from Tony Robbins, who taught me how to thank your bullies. And I was like, what? You thanking my bullies? And you have to thank your bullies. Yeah, they put you through crap, but you are who you are partially because of those issues. And when you can learn to accept that as opposed to just blaming, then you get to switch from victim to victor. And when you become the victor of this, no, I'm not poor Marcus because I got bullied. Congratulations, Marcus. You got bullied and look what you became. Oh, wow. Look at how you take back the power. And now what are you going to do with that power? How will you change the lives of others? How will you help others who might be going through that same thing that you went through, but maybe they're not getting through it as easily or as comfortable, as strong as you are? You have so much power and ability, and you've been chosen. God has given you that as an absolute gift. But here's my favorite part of this. When you recognize that there was a gift in any challenge you've ever had, now the challenge that is in front of you today, because challenges will keep coming. Maybe they won't be as big as they were, but they will keep coming. Think of how you could look at them differently and say, awesome. There's a challenge in front of me. Fantastic. I'm about to level up in life. I'm about to grow. I'm about to get to the next grade. I am stepping up. It not only helps you get through it more smoothly, but you embrace it more and you will find more of the gift in it because you're open to the gift in it.
That's right. And I think that at some level, you are giving a gift to the bully, because the bully, as wrong as it might feel in that moment, that person needs something from you that you're able to give them. And it's an interesting way of framing it. I spoke to somebody who was bullied very badly, and that's how he was able to reframe his bullying, that he was able to give a gift to his bully and then do all the things you're talking about, extract the gifts out of it. And it made him a better person in the long run.
Oh, that is deep. I really like that. That's really good. The other piece, just as you're saying that, it's as you give that gift to the bully, the main thing I see you receiving in that, when you release somebody, when you forgive somebody, forgiveness, again, another key element of my book. Forgiveness is something I don't think we talk about enough. And we definitely don't talk about the steps to forgiveness. And what you and I have just talked about, these are key steps to forgiveness. If you can start to see that it was a gift that you were bullied, it was a gift that this stuff happened to you, can't you see how that would allow you to forgive them a little bit more? And when you release it, when you fully forgive, not forgiving someone, I love this quote, it's not mine, but not forgiving someone is like drinking poison and hoping that person dies. It's so foolish, but it's what we do every single day, and we harbor it and we keep it. And we're like, no, I have to keep this pain for blah, blah, blah. And none of that is a good reason. But as soon as you release it, you let go and you're like, oh my goodness, I'm lighter and I feel better. And you can honestly wish that person well. It doesn't mean you have to let them back into your life. It doesn't mean you have to wish it happens again to you or anything like that. But you can just let that go.
You can. It's a beautiful way of reframing it into a positive thing. And it is so hard to forgive people who have been mean to you and who have had cruelty towards you or to someone else. I want to touch on something you said, though, that which I thought was interesting. Now, you are someone who stands up for bullies. I think I am as well. And I can think of a time in my life when, as an adult, I was bullied. And it's not the same because you're not quite as powerless as you were, but there were other people who did not stand up for me at the time. And I remember one person who did stand up for me. And it means so much to the person who's undergoing the bullying at the time to know that they have some validation. It almost gives them strength as well. So your strength gives them strength.
Oh, that's so beautiful. Yes. Yes. And I love that you take the time to recognize that someone did stand out for you, stand up for you. And I hope you also can even give some mercy to those people who didn't. because I think we've all been in a situation where, man, maybe it's just shock. I can't believe this is happening in front of me. So I have so much mercy for those other people that like, hey, why didn't you say anything? I couldn't believe what I was witnessing. I'm sure they would say, I'm so sorry I didn't say anything. But I couldn't believe it was going on in front of me. But how beautiful that person who was prepared and strong enough to stand up for you. And what an opportunity to create a really beautiful bond. I don't think you'll forget that person for the rest of your life.
No, that's true. And sometimes in those situations, other things are at play. So there might be narcissism involved or some other type of actual mental processing error or something along those lines that can be leading to the cruelty or that can, and I'm an empath. So I'm always understanding why. I'm always looking at, oh, they had a very difficult childhood. I understand why they're doing this. It feels bad to me, but still I understand it. And so then I can work into forgiveness a little bit more easily. I don't know. Are you a highly sensitive person or do you think you're more of a tough guy?
I actually do think I'm quite sensitive. I don't know if it's because I have always lived in a house full of women. So I grew up with one mom and two sisters. And then my brother had left the house really early and my father was gone. And then when I got married, now it's just me and my wife. And then it was me, my wife, two daughters. And now we have two female budgies. I can't get a male in this house to save my life. Yes, I have a lot of sensitivity. The female side of me is very much strong. But it is my history. And I truly believe it's who God has made me to be, like through the bullying, through the missing of family. I've got my eyes open for that stuff.
Okay, I'm having a little bit of a revelation here, and I'm wondering what you think about this idea. You are very fit. I've seen pictures of you on magazine covers. Do you think that you are expressing masculinity maybe more prominently because of the need to connect to a masculine energy?
I think you've nailed it. Absolutely. And I've never put it that way. So that's a beautiful revelation. I think there is so much to unpack there. And I think psychologists would go, how about this? You work out so hard because you want to show that you are a strong human being and that you can stand up for others and that, hey, nobody's going to bully me anymore. And see, I love all of that stuff. And I love the opportunity to be able to say those things without saying a word. And I think that's a beautiful opportunity for people and using their body in that way and to stand out in a world that doesn't give any value to fitness or health, which is a really sad thing because fitness and health will do so much in so many areas of your life. So I love when people come to fitness and have recognized the value of fitness and start putting effort into fitness. It changes everything.
Yeah, and I think the way that your body looks on the outside is an expression of what's going on the inside to some extent. And I would even go as far as to say, in terms of some illnesses and things that express on the outside.
Oh yeah, yeah, sad.
Yeah, it's very interesting. Yes. So let's talk about the supplements. And when did you start that to work on your physique and to really step into that fitness?
So again, this is looking at the gift in a challenge. I got into a pretty serious car accident when I was 16, and this is actually bizarre. I was telling this story just a couple of weeks ago, and somebody was like, they recommended that I go to a personal trainer, and that's so bizarre, right? Like, when does that ever happen? But one of the things was I was so skinny at that point, and so of course, when you're that skinny, the first thing people think, you look quite frail. Like maybe you got hurt a little extra because of how frail you look. And I started working out with this personal trainer and it just started to change my life. Like it wasn't like my body started to change because man, I was so tall and so skinny. Man, I haven't even changed that much since then. But mentally, I started to love who I was. I started to have confidence. And because of that confidence, it changed how I acted, how I treated others. And so what a life-changing moment for me to step into the gym and recognize all the value that the gym can bring to people's lives.
Absolutely. And I do think there's something about when your body doesn't look the way that you would like it to look.
Yes.
That is a real hit to your confidence. And so many people struggle with that, to getting over the hump to achieving the body that they want. There are so many obstacles.
Yes, and you're bringing up something so good, is that to recognize that the power is in your hands.
Yeah.
And I almost glossed over this. The fact that I learned that how I look is my choice. Oh, what a beautiful thing to learn at a young age. Because if your body is 100% your choice, how it looks, and yes, I am saying 100%. So anyone listening is like, that I don't know if that's true. It is true. You are making the decisions every moment of every day how your body will look. And once you take control of that, as opposed to releasing control, you will feel so much power from it. And all the things in our lives that we feel out of control over, just think about things like taxes and politics and all those things. That makes you feel chaotic inside. And that lack of control is one of the biggest issues up here internally. It messes with our mind so much. So the more that you can recognize that you are in control, so you get to choose what you're going to eat today. What you eat is going to impact how you feel and how you look. Will your body start to change by tomorrow? No. But it might change 0.001%. And those 0.001%, they do add up. So if you take control and you go, you know what? I am going to take control because I am in control. Your whole life will start to change. And when you start to see the body start to change, then you go, where else in my life? Yes, your career, your relationships, it is all in your control. You have so much more control than you realize. And when you let go, someone else is just grabbing the reins. Someone else has taken control because you've chosen not to.
Yeah, absolutely. Jack Canfield, taking 100% responsibility for your life changes your life.
Yes.
Yes. Then you realize that when those things come up in your life that you feel you really can't control, like politics or things you see online, the news, that kind of stuff, you realize that you do actually have control over your perceptions. You get to choose what reality you want to live in.
Yes. Oh, that's beautiful. Share with me more.
I think it's very true that your perception is your reality. And I look around the world at things that might throw me off track. And then I'm able to tap back into my inner knowing, my self awareness, and to say, this isn't my timeline. This isn't my reality. I'm going to live this way. And I do think there are people on this planet who have less choice about that. Obviously, there are areas of the world where life is a lot more difficult. And I simply look at the life that I have and the opportunities that I have here as a blessing. And it would be irresponsible of me to make that worse than it is. You know what I'm saying?
Love that. Yes. Yes. I love that so much. And I just agree with you so much. It's a choice about your perspective. And one of the other things you said that I love, that I really want to highlight and I want people to hear, is that Mitzi and I aren't talking about being perfect. So you start watching a little bit too much news and you start going, oh man, so much crap going on in the world. And you go, hey, hold on. Here's one choice I can make. Turned off. I don't have to keep consuming this. Remember, the whole point of news is to get your attention and keep your attention. And unfortunately, guess what that looks like? Negative fear. I don't consume any of that stuff. And the argument that I hear all the time is, how do you know what's going on in the world? Trust me, you'll know.
You
You
know.
know. Everybody wants to have those conversations. I will always know what's going on in the world. I don't ever have to watch it on the news. And I don't have to hear it from somebody who has a massive budget to really market and sell their fear to me, where I might be like, holy smokes, is that really happening? Oh no. I can just hear it secondhand and I can go, well, that just sounds bogus. And we all know now, with so much junk on the news, and you've got two news channels reporting the exact same thing, but one is saying it happened this way, one is saying it happened this way. How would you ever know which is the right way anyway?
That's
So
right.
Why am I going to waste any of my time on that stuff? And
That's
I'll make
true.
my own opinions. And more importantly, almost zero of any of that impacts who I'm going to be in the first place.
Absolutely. Yes. I don't really watch television at all. I even stopped watching Netflix and movies, really. Occasionally I'll watch something, but it's almost uncanny when you realize the massive impact that your television has over you. It's programming. It's called programming for a reason, right?
Oh, wow. Yeah.
I always say this, you can get sucked into that, and then you can get really worried about things, and you can feel fear, and you can feel stress, and then that's going to affect your central nervous system. It's going to affect the way that you function in the world. Or you can just turn it off, and you can open your door and walk outside and see what the world actually looks like.
Beautiful.
You
So,
know?
well said. And by the way, I love that. And I talk about all these things constantly. Like, just here's your two choices right now: turn off the TV and go outside, go out into the forest, for example, where you just feel like you're at one with nature. Maybe even take off your shoes and just
Oh
walk
yeah.
around out there, taking some deep breaths of some fresh air, or sit and let the programming change who you are for the negative. I'm going to go with the first one for sure.
Yeah, because it does change who you are. It's like hanging around with a very negative best friend all the time.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is, Mitzi.
All right. So I do want to touch on your success as an entrepreneur, just to shift gears a little bit, because I know people are very interested in that. I love how you had the inspiration to start this supplement company when you were so young. I wish I had had some kind of inspiration like that when I was that age. Getting it now, there's no timeline for that. It's always the right time whenever you're doing it. But what were one or two things that were really instrumental in taking your business and scaling it from a few jars of supplements in your bedroom to multi-millions of dollars?
Mm. Thank you for that, by the way. And I do want to encourage you. You will never again be as young as you are right this moment.
So
So
true.
in 10 years, you're going to go, why didn't I do it then? Why didn't I? So just do it now. Just keep going, people. Start today. If you're hearing it, if you feel compelled to do it today, start today. But to answer your question, it is the growth mindset. I just wanted to keep learning. And I started that business. It was just a tiny business. I had no money to be starting that business. I just did everything I could to start what I could. And then I just kept learning and kept asking questions and never pretended like I had all the answers. And when we do, and by the way, that is just, it is going to torpedo your business. Just keep pretending nothing. Learn, ask all the questions, keep going into rooms that you don't think you belong in with people who are much smarter than you. And by the way, I spend so much time in those rooms, and people above me appreciate so much the way I enter the room going, I just want to learn. And now I've got some cool things on my resume. And often they're like, wait a minute, why are you asking these questions? Like, you've got this resume. And I'm like, because I'm still learning today. When you hear what I start next, you're going to go, oh my goodness, he really was just in grade 1 just now. And I can't wait to see what grade 2 and grade 3 look like. So don't pretend like you've graduated. Don't pretend you've got the degree and life has given you every piece of knowledge that you're going to consume. If you keep consuming, keep learning. So I just kept growing incrementally and learning about things like cash flow, and then learning about how to deal with employees and how to hire the right people, how to surround myself by the right people, strategic connections. I think my golden rule for business was always to treat people the way I wanted to be treated. And I know that sounds so cliche, but how many businesses do you actually know who do that? And it always blows my mind when you order something from a company and they treat you like, you are so lucky to be buying from me, Mitzi. And it's like, what? With all the companies out there and the way I like to treat people, this is how you're treating me? Remember, you're voting with your dollars. So if you feel that way when you're buying something from a company, stop buying from them. Take it and give it to a young entrepreneur. There are so many entrepreneurs when I buy from a company and they send me like a handwritten note. They're like, You know how much we appreciate you. Thank you so much. We know you could have spent your money elsewhere, but you chose us. That was the stuff I loved doing. Like we loved, I would have my warehouse guys take a picture, and not all the time, but take a picture with their order, like thumbs up, sign it, just so there's that personal touch to be like, we are so grateful for this. We don't take this for granted. It's because of you that we can pay our mortgage. It's because of you that we can take care of all the charities that we're involved with. That's a big deal. And as soon as you start taking that for granted, that is when your business will start going down.
That's really powerful because, and I know that your company has massive integrity. There's nothing negative to be found about you online at all. Not that I was looking. You really do practice what you preach. And when you imbue your business or your products or your services with that feeling of, I want to be treating you the way that I would like to be treated, that comes across.
Yes.
It doesn't even have to be spoken.
Yes.
It's palpable.
Yeah. And being treated like I want to be treated, I think one of the most important times of this is when there is a problem. And I think this is where a lot of companies screw up as well. And you want to turn your blind eye to it and maybe it'll fix itself, or, oh, you're just being a jerk client or something. I just never took that position. I was like, hey, we screwed up. How can we make this right? And it doesn't mean, this I think is a very important tip for everybody who runs a business. It doesn't just mean the customer's always right. I don't like that saying at all. I would talk to a customer, and there were times when customers would go, I want this and this all for free and blah, blah. And I go, hey, listen, number one, I really appreciate you taking the time with me. Number two, I did screw up and we owe you. I have to be honest with you, what you're asking for is just too much. I can't. If I were to do that, I can't keep the lights on. So I'm just being straight with you. I do want to compensate you. I do want you to be taken care of, and I want you to feel good about this. But I also know that I have employees, I have charities, I have things I have to take care of. Now, this also puts it in a great position to figure out if this person is rational or not. Because there were times from that conversation that I just shared with you where they were like, no, I demand these things. And I go, then I'm not the right business for you to be dealing with. And that happened. Not often, but it happened lots of times over my 25-year career. I chose my customer because that is not a customer I'm ever going to make happy. And I recognize that and I go, I'm not going to keep spinning my wheels trying to. And if you are going to destroy me every time I make a tiny mistake, you're definitely not someone I want to spend time with. But I'll tell you how often that conversation turned into something beautiful. They're like, you know what? I appreciate that. I understand. So what's a good compromise here? And then we worked something out, and they actually really appreciated just the candid conversation, because I'm just treating you again like I want to be treated, just a normal human being. Let's have a conversation. Tell me what you can do. Here's what I can do. And boom, we came to a beautiful compromise. And most of the time, it turned into a much better relationship. When you make an error in business, it is your best opportunity to create a better relationship.
Yeah, because business is it's an entity. It's like a living thing. And when you treat it like that, and you have the courage to stand up for your values in your business as you would as a person in your life, which is exactly what you do in terms of the bullying and standing up for other people, you have to establish your own self-advocacy. And that will help you to align with people who are going to continue to be the people in your life who are going to create more opportunities, create that sense of flow and equilibrium in your life. If you're in business and you're constantly trying to please everybody and make everybody happy, you're going to be very miserable.
Agreed. All said.
It's really interesting to think of it that way. And in terms of, I always think about this in the coaching world, is like, you don't take your humanness away when you're conducting business or when you're going to work. You're always a holistic being, and you have to approach it that way. Like it has to feel like a win for everyone. You have to feel aligned. You don't have to. But if you want to be fulfilled and happy.
I totally agree with that.
Yeah, it's so interesting.
Now, hey, I don't know if you know this or not, but did you know I sold this business?
No, I did not know that.
So truly the dream situation as an entrepreneur. I started the business in January of 2005. And then last year I got to sell the business and exit.
Wonderful. That's so great. Oh my
Yeah.
goodness. Congratulations.
Thank you. And just to give you a little bit more of that story, it was such a cool experience when I was in prayer one day and I felt God say to me, the next chapter in your life is about to start. And it didn't mean at that moment that I now have to sell the business or anything like that. But within a week, he had me start to write my book. And then as the book was getting close to the end, and I was going, okay, God, now what? I don't know what to do with this book. I don't know any distributors, anybody who publishes. I don't know agents. And then he said, now you're going to sell your company, and send me the buyer. Like, it was just this wild experience. And again, it's like the next chapter of my life and maybe the next book that I'll write. But it's given me the opportunity and learning experience that I know so many other entrepreneurs will experience one day, and that's the exit. And how to deal with that, how to deal with the mindset of it, how to deal with losing your identity, because so many entrepreneurs' identities are wrapped up in their businesses. So it's such a cool and beautiful experience, and then just a whole new life now I live.
That is amazing. You must be over the moon. And your wife and your daughters must be very happy as well, because they get more of you.
It's true. And we spend more time together. We do more things. Like, I'm not retired or anything. It's just not in me. But this next chapter, not only am I doing so much with the book and speaking on stages, but I'm working with so many other entrepreneurs. I have ownership in 30 or 40 companies now. And that to me is so much fun. I mentor a lot of entrepreneurs. I coach entrepreneurs. There's just so much in this that's just different from the last stage of my life. And I'm just loving and embracing all of it.
So let me ask you a question. When you say that you asked God to send you the buyer, what do you mean by that? Did you go looking for a buyer? How did you become a match for the perfect buyer for your company?
That's wonderful. So in my prayer, I felt God tell me, you're going to sell the company. And so I put it back on him and I said, please help me to find the buyer. Please help me to keep my eyes open and figure out how to do this. I had never sold a company at that scale before. And what I did, it wasn't probably 4 days before I received a magazine from a company I had received a magazine from so many times. And what they did is they prepared companies for sale. And then they also helped to match with buyers. So they were a broker in essence. And I contacted them. I said, hey, what do you guys do? Tell me how this all works. And we started to go through the process. And preparing your company for a sale is something I had no idea how involved it is. The average company is nowhere near ready for sale. It's crazy how much you have to clean things up, clean up the books. Just even the idea of selling or someone buying a company that is just like a mess, it's impossible. Like you will get pennies on the dollar. So it really transformed over those 6 months of preparing the company. And then God just sent me the buyer. And he was so clear. I kept praying about it and praying about it. And when I met this man, prayed about it. And it just lined up. I got the number that God told me I would get. And it was just an incredible experience.
That is an amazing story. I think we all are working and striving to tap into that kind of universal energy where we are a match for what we desire.
Mm.
Did you find that you had to let go of the outcome? What kind of tools did you use as you were going through that process?
Oh, that's so good. Beautiful coaching, by the way. You are leading me, and it's absolutely where I would love to go. We get so attached to certain outcomes. And because of that, you could get almost exactly what you want out of life and still be unfulfilled, unhappy, and pissed off because you had a just slightly different vision. And that makes us so sad. And I know you see this every day, because we all see, once you have learned this perspective, you go, oh my goodness, look how many people around are just like, oh, it didn't happen exactly the way I wanted it. But if you sold your business and it was like a month later than it was supposed to, isn't that like still a phenomenal thing? So there's so much of that. Yeah, I wasn't overly tied to the outcome. And my walk in faith right now, so if I can give people encouragement on this, because I know people want to have more faith in their life, they'd love to be more tapped into a higher power, is to give over the power to that higher power. If you truly believe that there is a God, there is something bigger than you at play, explore that more. What does that actually mean? So for me, I know this is the creator of the universe. And this creator who created everything, who knows time in a very different way than I do, who knows all, is all powerful, wants to have a relationship with me and wants to have a relationship with you. Why would you not explore that? And who is going to know better for my life? Him or me? So the more I just kept giving over and going, whatever you choose, I'm in. I will keep walking forward. Now, there is the big difference that most people don't talk about, in my opinion. It is not, yes, I have faith, and now I'm just going to sit back and wait for God to get me off my couch. No. In my opinion, God will always put one step in front of you and show it to you and go, hey, take the step. I think the majority of human beings go, yeah, I need to see the next 10 steps or else I'm not moving. And in my opinion, God is going, if you're not going to take the step that I showed you, why would I show you any further? And you wouldn't understand it anyway. And so all I have to do each day is just show up and go, God, if you put one step or 5 steps in front of me, I'm going to take them. And I just want to be the person you want me to be. And man, I got to tell you, it is so awesome being in that space. And I'm not saying that as in, you don't know how much money you'll make and all this. No, you will find success though. And success to me means fulfillment, joy, peace. What is peace worth? Oh, man, I didn't know until I found it. And when you have peace, I'd trade all of the other stuff for peace. And when you get to taste that peace, it just should encourage you to be like, you know what? I am just going to stay on this path for life.
Is peace the ultimate freedom?
Oh, I would argue yes. Because in that peace, you will find joy, you will find happiness, you will find fulfillment. But Mitzi, I think you've got a good answer on this. Share, please.
I believe that it is the ultimate freedom. In freedom is peace. In peace is freedom. I mean, they go hand in hand. And I think that's what we're all really all striving for, is the freedom that belies that sense of peace. And as you're talking, I'm wondering how you reconcile the idea of letting go and letting God help you or take care of things, with also knowing that you're in control, knowing that you have choices and free will. How do you marry those two things together?
Love that. I love that question. Listen, I'm not hiding it. I'm a Christian man, and my belief, and if you're listening to this and that's your belief too, I have God inside me. I've invited God in. I'm a co-creator. So I'm not taking that control away from him. He's given it to me. And that's very clear. The Bible tells me he lives right here. So to do nothing and to suggest I don't have control, that's suggesting he's not very powerful. And I would never suggest that. So if he's in here and he's going, hey, let's do something with your hands. Let's do something with your life. I'm going, let's go. I do have that power. Now, I also I'm not so foolish to go, yes, I can do whatever I choose. And to some degree, I might have worldly success in that. But instead I go, yes, I do have that power. But again, I'm going to turn it back over to you and go, what do you want me to do with these hands? And when I'm directed in that way, anything can happen. Nothing would surprise me. And it's beautiful, the amount of peace that I also get from that idea. I'm in control, but I've also turned over control to the one who loves me so much and has such beautiful plans for me that everything's going to go perfect. even if it doesn't look perfect from the worldly view.
Mhm. Yeah, because I think to achieve trust, to achieve peace is to have trust.
Yeah.
And I love what you said about the idea that we don't need to look externally for the divine connection. And a lot of people are looking for that externally, but it's really internally where that can be found. It's tapping into the higher self, the inner self, whatever you choose to call it.
Yeah.
That's where that divine center is. It's literally called the divine center in so many different traditions, the chakras, whatever. It's been explained that way from so many traditions and religions and cultures. It's just really fascinating when you're able to actually see how that feels as a human person. And you seem to really have tapped into it just to to an extreme, which I love to see, because that's an inspiration for others.
Oh, well, I appreciate that so much. I can't take credit for it, but thank you. I think one of the key things that the beauty of this is I get to be my authentic self. And I think that's where people should be trying to go, is try to find your authentic self. And who knows better than the one who created me, who I should be, who should I be today? And it's not always the big picture. It's who should I be in the next 10 minutes? Who should I be on this interview? And just even beforehand, I prayed and I just said, hey, your will be done. Your words, not mine. I hope people see right through me. I hope people don't even see Markus and that they only see you, Lord. And that's my true feeling. Like any weird stuff you took out of this interview, if you're listening and you're like, that stuff sounded weird, I'll take credit for that. That was probably Markus. But anything beautiful or divine or that maybe made an impact in you, that's not Markus. That's something much bigger than me.
Aw, that's beautiful. So, because it's the Blessings podcast, I ask everyone to share their top lesson in life and their top blessing in their life. Would you
Oof.
share with us, please, your top lesson and your
Absolutely.
top blessing?
So my top blessing is my wife. She's just the most beautiful gift God has given me, other than, of course, saving my soul. But she's just such a ridiculous gift. And the way I look at my wife as the number one gift in my life, every single day, I look at her that way and I pray for her that way. And because of that, he shows me extra gifts in her every single day. And I would think I treat her that way every day because I think about her that way every day. And sorry, I got so excited talking about my wife. I
Oh,
part of your question.
I think it's beautiful the way that you talk about your wife, and you also talk about her this way in your book and anything I've heard, other interviews I've heard with you. And it's just really beautiful. It's a shining example. I think there are a lot of women out there who wish that their man or their partner would hold them to that level of light.
Hmm.
And actually, it makes me even think about how we see each other as humans. Imagine what the world would look like if we all saw that in each other, if we all held one another to that standard.
Oh,
It would be such a beautiful thing.
can I give some encouragement on that? Because
Yes.
this was a really big turning point for me. So of course, like I've loved my wife now. We're celebrating 20 years in just a couple months. I keep growing constantly and learning more about how to treat her and how learning more about love. There was this moment when we were in a bit of an argument, nothing massive, but we were just fighting about something. We were standing next to each other getting dishes done. And I remember just putting off this negative energy towards her. Can't believe you're doing this, or what. I don't even remember what the fight was about because it's not even important. And I remember walking away from that going, of course she would have felt that. Of course she would have. I'm such a believer in energies. And if you guys, I'm not trying to sound like this, ooh, weird energies, but if you don't believe in energies at all, you ever seen a dog treat someone very differently from someone else? If you don't think you put off an energy, dogs are a perfect example of they can just look at you and go, oh, this person loves me. Oh, or this person fears me. I might bite this person. So we put off so much energy. And it was this beautiful light bulb moment that I think God just gave me at that moment. And whenever I'm around my wife, I don't even have to say it. I'm in my brain, I'm going, oh, I love this woman. And she's going to feel that too.
Yeah.
And I know
Yeah.
she does. And it will calm her spirit. It will make her feel loved. I don't have to say a word. So my encouragement to people is, what if you tried that today? What if you tried just being around your person and just gave them love without saying a word? Now, not only will it help them in their life and make them feel amazing, but I'm telling you, it will change you. Because if you keep saying these things enough, and I want to just take the opposite for a quick second. How many of us have that negative voice inside of us, all of us, who it chirps, oh, Markus, you're not good at that. You can't do that. And doesn't it beat you down? It beats you down. Now, what if you did the opposite constantly? What if you're like, you are so awesome. Good for you. Great job. Wow. Look at you. Aren't you going to walk around a little more like this? So do the same. No, you should be doing that for yourself, but do that for your person. Do that for your partner. Do that for your lover. Just pour that into them without saying a single word. Goodness, I love you. And try and watch for all the reasons that you do. Did that? Celebrate that. Celebrate, and that you should be vocal about. You did the dishes? Thank you for doing it. Thank you for making me that meal. They don't have to do the dishes. They don't have to make you that meal. My wife does probably a billion things per day that I still don't thank her for, and I feel terrible about it. And I'm trying to improve that every single day and give her more love. And every time I do, you are like so grateful. And I'm like, thanks for noticing. And I'm going to do it even more. That's just a win-win. And this is supposed to be your one for life. Mm-hmm. Isn't it worth the investment in constantly? And if you are saying to yourself or saying to Markus right now, yeah, but I'll never get anything in return. That just sounds like more work for me. Will you just try it for 3 days? You try it for 3 days, and if you get something out of it, I promise you, you will.
Yeah. Beautiful advice. Thank you so much, Markus. I've loved talking with you. Your energy is really off the charts, and I can feel it through the airwaves. And so I think your family is very lucky to have you, and the world is very lucky to have you. Thanks for joining me today.
Oh, Mitzi, thank you so much for everything you're doing. I'd like to give you one last gift before we leave. Hey, everybody still listening, will you go give a 5-star review to this podcast? Mitzi puts in so much effort and so much love into this. She's brilliant. She deserves it. So I am going to go right now. By the way, by the time you hear this and you go give your 5-star review, you should be able to go find my 5-star review of this podcast. But I just want to thank you for what you're doing. And if anybody wants to get in touch with me, come to me, playabiggergame.com. It's the name of the book. It's the name of the movement. By the way, Mitzi, I don't know if you noticed this, and I hate to make this sound like any type of a brag, but this was in the top 10 selling books in America last week.
Congratulations.
And really by God's will, not mine, because that blows my freaking mind. But what excites me so much is I know how many people's lives will be transformed by this. This stuff is simple tools in here. None of this is tough read. Every single page in this, you're going to go, yeah, if I did this, this would change my life. It just makes sense. So please consider picking up the book and do consider reaching out to me. I'd love to hear from you. If any of this podcast made a difference to you, I'd love to hear from you.
Oh, thank you, Markus. We're going to have all the information in the show notes for anyone. And I finished the book myself. It is a fantastic book. And you're right. It's nothing too heavy. It feels, oh, I can do this. I can be better at life if I just do these things. And these are things that are very accessible. So it's very simple, and you make it relatable by telling personal stories and sprinkling in all these amazing quotes. People love quotes, and it's so relatable, the whole book. It's a fantastic book. So I'm not surprised it's in the top 10, and congratulations.
Thank you so much. I hope you have an amazing day and keep doing what you're doing. You're amazing.
Thank you.